We are live. We are live and sound is on. Yes, sound is on. Perfect. Okay. Welcome to part 3 of 4 of my summer school here, centered around Betty Edwards, drawing on the right side of the brain. Today's theme is composition, how to compose using negative space. And last time we delved even more into this difference between our right hemisphere of the brain versus our left side of the brain. And the more I really started to think about it and use it also actively in the way I teach drawing. And the more that I think about it and the more that it kind of hits the bottom in my brain, the more I realize that it's a fantastic way of thinking really, and it's a great thing to be conscious about how the two hemispheres really work. And when I read about today's subject, which is about composition and how negative space works in composition, it was another eye-opener to me, which I will share with you today. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk about composition. And we're going to talk about it in terms of how many artists, including myself, tend to forget. So you might think that you always think about composition when you, for instance, draw your motif, when you draw a figure. But how often do you think about what is not the figure, that is the negative space? That's the case today, and I want today to start off with some theory before we draw today's exercise. And if you want to join in just a few minutes, you can go collect a few materials that we're going to need for this exercise, because today we actually need a bit more than just a piece of paper and a pencil. We also need another piece of paper, which very much could be a colored piece of paper. You'll see why when we do the exercise, but blank piece of paper and then maybe a colored piece of paper if you have, and a scissor and a gluing stick. So I want to start off with showing you guys some things from my book here. So let's just go down to my table. Let's get you guys a table view, and also cheers. Even though it's summer school, it's still Monday, so we need some coffee. I'm gonna flip the camera here. Voila. And take a look here. What goes on? Oops. So, up here, left corner, we have a composition, a painting by Jean Miro called Persons and Star. It's from 1933. Next to it, we have a drawing, also a composition by a kid, just 6 years old. Now, Betty Edwards makes a comparison here of the greatness in composition of these two compositions. And I agree. I think that these are both equally great in compositions. So why is it that a kid, just 6 years old, can come up with a composition that is equally strong to that of an experienced and skillful artist? Well, Betty Edwards argues that it's because every kids of this age in the whole world are able to compose this way, because they see all elements as being of the same quality. All things have the same importance. So this is why the branches and the sky, the negative space, one might say, are equally important. They take up a significant part of the composition. And this is why the kid has included the sky, the branches, and the leaves here, which places the birds in the corner here, making for an interesting composition, because you have all these lines and interesting figures playing together, just like you have over here at Jean Miro. So, however, because this is a great composition from a 6-year-old, but Betty Edwards says, just gonna turn back here. what then happens is that we people hit puberty. Around that age of puberty, something shifts here, something changes, which is that we start giving things names. And names starts to have more importance. The negative space, such as the sky, earth, and air, are being displaced by a tendency to focus on things. Kind of sad, right? And the thing is that the left hemisphere of our brain over here does not want to deal with the negative space because it has no names for it. So for instance, the space around me, the space which isn't Casper, the left hemisphere of our brain doesn't want to deal with that. But the right hemisphere is more democratic, because to this side of the brain, objects and space that have no names are equally as important. They are the same. It doesn't care about the two things. That's quite interesting. So when we are at a young age, we consider these elements of being of the same importance. And this is why kids are sometimes very great in composing until we reach that certain level of age. That's quite an eye-opener for me, really. So let's get to the exercise. We will do that now, and let's just have it down here. We are going to draw some negative space here. Here we have some more examples. In Betty Edwards' example, she's using starfish. She's drawing starfish as an example. But you can also draw other things. She also mentions that you can draw, for instance, 3 pipes. You can draw music instruments or what have you. You can draw from imagination. To me, I feel a bit naked when I don't have any reference, so I'll just use these as a reference when I draw. So, first off, think of something to draw. Maybe you can also grab something to draw, as I do. And then, just put this up here. There's a certain way that we're gonna draw these things, because Betty Edwards instructs us to, when I draw these, there, you have to make sure that the elements that you draw, which are the positive shapes, touches at least 2 places of the edge of your paper. So for instance, let me start out by drawing this banana. If I have the top of the banana up here, I want to make sure that it touches the edge, like it touches up here. Let me show that. So that's one place where the object touches, and I'm gonna have it go round, and then I'm gonna have it touch again there at the edge. Right now I don't care about proportions. I try to actually make it a bit larger, this banana, to make sure that I make the shape meet. So I have my positive shape, number 1, touching at 1 and 2 places along the edge of my paper. And now I want to also draw in the sunglasses. So maybe they could be kind of like that or like that. Maybe just like that. And again, it has to touch. Now I have my banana touching 2 places of the drawing, so it's okay that my glasses just touch the edge here. This is a really weird pair of sunglasses, but it doesn't matter. As you will see, it's really not what's important for this exercise. And it doesn't matter that it overlaps a bit here. So now I have my two positive shapes, banana, sunglasses, and we have at least two places where the shapes hit or touch the edge of my paper. Perfect. So now she says that I should go over the drawing slowly and carefully and powerfully underline the shape of these spaces, which are the negative spaces. So this part up here and this part here and this part here. And I underline the shape of these spaces and also the edge of the paper as part of the negative space or shape here. So I'm gonna start in the corner here and draw in the edge here, following the edge of my paper here. And then I hit this line here. So now I've underlined that shape here. I'm gonna go ahead over here in the corner and start here. And just tracing what I already drew. The pitch. And also here we have huge negative space. Goes all the way down here. See, whoops. Follow around here. And then we have last negative space up here. Oh wait, I already did that one. Yeah, I already did one. That doesn't matter. Okay, so now I've underlined the negative space, the shapes around the positive shapes. And Betty Edwards actually says to do this several times, this thing with doing the outline. So I'm gonna do it once more. Start here again. It feels really nice just to go over the lines here. Maybe you can already start to feel where this is headed. This exercise. Put the camera here so you can see all the way down. Oh, that was my pencil sharpener. It's actually also really great because I can feel what my format is. Like I really get into the format of this piece of paper. Okay, there we go. Just a small coffee break. Okay, we have reached step 3 here in the exercise. Betty Edwards says that we should direct all our gaze towards one of these drawn up areas. So that means one of these drawn up areas, that is the negative space. I will choose this part here. So direct all your attention, your gaze towards this space until you conceive it as a shape in itself. So maybe this sounds abstract, but I'm just gonna stare at this space here until I see it as a shape. I'm gonna try ahead and do that. Okay, yeah. I see this now as a shape in itself. Interesting. Took some time actually. So take your time. She also mentions that it can take some time because our left hemisphere of the brain will try to look in your drawing for things, for names, symbols that we can recognize, but there is no word for this shape right here. So our left hemisphere, my left hemisphere will go like, wait a minute, I don't have a name for this. This is not the job for me. I give up. And then our right hemisphere will take over and start to deal with this shape as a shape in itself, as a shape that is important, or at least as important as the banana shape, which is the positive shape. So the next step here is to, let's see, we have to turn all the negative space dark with our pencil to enhance that the negative space is there, and make it stand out as a shape. So let's have a look here. Go over it with my pencil. This is the way that she does it in her example with the starfish, sort of diagonal lines. Just make sure that they overlap so there's no visible white space. Same over here. I have a huge space here. Maybe I should just have gone with A5. You can of course go ahead and do that if you try this out. Maybe even a post-it note would have been okay. See it here to here. And last part down here. Okay, now I've made all the negative space more visible by darkening it with my pencil. So, Betty Edwards wants us now to look at these shapes. This is, that's negative space, one at a time until I see that they are there. So I will do that. I'll start looking at this space here and this space here and this space here. Just give you up the camera so you can also have a look. And you can maybe watch along and see when do you start to really see these shapes as shapes in themselves. It takes a bit of time. I think to me it also helps to squint a bit with my eyes. Okay, now I think I got it. Yes. Ready for the next step? It's time to use our scissor. And we are going to cut out the negative space here. Now you can really tell how the negative spaces stand out. This banana overlaps with the sunglasses, so I'm gonna have that in here as well. This is a part where if you have been choosing a complex part, it can be a bit tedious to cut them out. I can see now why a starfish is quite a good shape, as it's quite a compact shape. But here we are. We have the negative space and the positive shapes been cut out. And I'll just see here. Now she says that I should take up these negative spaces here and turn them in different ways. So I will do that. Just basically look at them. Yeah, this is funny because I don't think sunglasses when I see this right now, but it's an interesting shape. It's a different way that my brain is working because I don't have a name for this. It feels weird to look at these, which are not the drawing, but as we will see, they are. So the next step, once you've kind of taken up your negative space shapes here and looked at them, we want to glue them onto a new piece of paper, which is why color paper can be brilliant, because then we can really see a difference. And now it's easier for us to see, or it's easy for me to see how to place them together, because now we really see, as you start gluing these on, you notice that the negative space that we drew define the positive shapes just as well. This is really what happens. So let me just glue these on. this part. So already now you can tell that we see clearly from just using the negative space that this is striking how much it plays a part in drawing. That just as much as you draw the positive shape, just as much the negative space draws the positive shape. And you can even, she suggested you can also just glue the positive shape back on. Yeah, it really stands out in a different way. I think that if you use color paper, you can also really just have them like this. Almost like a collage. So I'll round off this exercise by just quoting Betty Edwards, because she says that this exercise has an important purpose. When we draw one part, we have also unconsciously been drawing the other part. And you can test this assertion if you look at an object, for instance, the scissors you just used. If you then draw the shapes of the space that are in the handles of the scissor, the edges / contours of the negative space will also be the inside edges, contours of the handles themselves. So just by quickly showing you that, we can test it together. So I have it going. Like so. So the point being, once I've been drawing this, which is essentially the negative space, it's not the scissor. At the same time, this is the inside contour of the handle here of the scissor. So it all hangs together beautifully. The inside hangs together with the outside. And this is why I think this exercise is so brilliant, because it really makes us aware that once we draw, we gotta think in the outside of what we draw. They all play together. And the way you place the negative space will have an effect on the way we perceive the positive space, as we saw with the drawing by the kid and the painting by Jean Miro. An interesting composition is when these two things play together beautifully. This is an exercise that I could very much take with me into class at drawing, where I teach drawing. I hope you also found it really helpful and that you want to try it out, even though the left hemisphere of the brain thinks it's a waste of time. It's not. It's really helping us seeing negative space in a new way. So yeah, give yourself a time to do it and enjoy this exercise. Thank you for this session. I will see you on next Monday for the fourth and final part of this summer school session here with Betty Edwards. Until next time, folks, have fun drawing.